All right, so I'm going to go through the questions from the test simulation first, and that's the only video I'm actually going to make. So if you have any questions on Jeopardy, just reach out to me. But the first question is to rewrite in slope-intercept form and state your slope and y-intercept. So remember, our slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. That's what we need to write it in. Right now, we're in standard form, ax plus by is equal to c. So if you notice here, we have our we have our x and our y on one side, and here we have y all by itself. So the first thing I need to do is start isolating this y, and I can do that by moving this 6x to the other side. So since it's a positive 6x, we will just subtract 6x from both sides. They cancel out. So we got negative 9y is equal to negative 6x minus 21. And then the last thing that you notice is on this slope-intercept form, y is by itself. There's no coefficient in front of it besides a 1. So we need to get rid of this negative 9. So we divide each side by negative 9. This cancels out here, and now we get our y all by itself. And remember, this creates two fractions. Right? We will look at this, negative 6x over negative 9, and then we will look at this, plus 21 over negative 9. This should have been a positive 21, not a negative 21. All right, and then we go ahead and simplify. Well, here I know that the negatives can't cancel out and give me a positive, and 6 over 9 reduces to 2 over 3x. 21 over negative 9 reduces to negative 7 over 3. And there is your final answer. Do the given points fall on the line? Well, when we're asked if points fall on the line, we simply need to substitute them in. Because this is an x, this is a y. And we substitute it in, and we ask ourselves, remember, does 10 equal 3 over 4 times 6 plus 11 over 2? I substitute it in, my 6 for my x and my 10 for my y. And now after I substitute it in, I just go ahead and simplify. Asking myself the entire time, do they equal? Well, here, 3 times 6 gives me 18. I'm going to go through it step by step. 18 over 4 plus 11 over 2. And then this 18 over 4 will reduce. Let me write this up here. So does 10 equal to 9 over 2 plus 11 over 2? Well, now since we have common denominators, I can go ahead and add these. So does 10 equal 20 over 2? And 20 over 2 reduces to 10. So does 10 equal to 10? Yes, it falls on the line. All right, now this question is probably, if this is on your test, the easiest question you will possibly get. So it says, find the equation of a line. So first off, before I even go any further, I know this is how my answer has to be written. All right, whenever we are finding the equation of a line, I told you that you will be finding it in your slope-intercept form. So find the equation of a line that has y-intercept of negative 8 and a slope of 1/2. So the y-intercept we know is our b, and that is equal to negative 1/8. And our slope is our m, and that is equal to 1/2. So we simply are just plugging this in. Y is equal to our m, which we said is 1/2, minus 8 is our b. Final answer. All right, so this problem says graph. So remember, first question you ask yourself is, what form are we in? And we are in slope-intercept form. Once we are in slope-intercept form, then we have our specific rules that we need to follow. And the first thing we need to do is we need to graph or plot our y-intercept. And remember, our y-intercept is the constant. It is the only one that's not being multiplied to x or y, and is this positive 1. So our b is equal to 1, which gives us the point 0, 1. So I can go over here on 0, 1, because here's my x-axis. I can count up and plot my point. And then the next thing that we need to do is we need to use your slope to generate the next point. Remember, it is as if you're giving directions to somebody. You're telling them how to move. And our slope is what is being multiplied to our x, or the coefficient of x. So in this case, it is 2 over 3. So our m is equal to 2 over 3. And that is change in y over change in x, or rise over run, however you want to describe it. But I prefer saying this way because it's literally telling you how your y is changing. So I know my y is going up 2 and my x is going up 3. So I will go up 1, 2, and then my x not up 3, I'm sorry, but we'll go right 3 because it's positive. 1, 2, 3. There is my point. You on your test will use a straight edge to draw this. And there's your graph. All right, find the equation of a line passing through the given points. Remember, as soon as you see find the equation, you know you should be answering y is equal to mx plus b. This is what you need to solve for. Well, we can't just solve for b as is because they don't tell us either of these are the y-intercepts. But we know that we can solve for m because the two letters we need to solve for are m and b. And I know when I'm given 2 points, I can solve for n, or for m, because I can label this x1, y1, and x2, y2. And now I'm going to plug it into my formula that m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Our slope is equal to negative 5 minus 1 over 3 minus 5. So our slope is equal to negative 6 over negative 2, and our slope is equal to 3. So right away, I know that my m is equal to 3. So I can start writing y is equal to 3x. Now the last thing I need to solve for is this b. So how do I figure out this b? Well, I know it passes through these points. And as we learned before, if it passes through the points, then we know it satisfies the equation. So you can pick either one of these. It doesn't matter which one you pick. You choose. I'm going to choose this 5, 1 just because I know 1 is an easier number for me to work with. So I'm going to substitute these in because 5 represents an x and 1 represents a y. So I know I can plug it into this equation to solve for my b. My y is 1. My x is going to be 5. So 1 is equal to 3 times 5 plus b. And now I can solve for this missing variable b. 1 is equal to 15 plus b. We can subtract over the 15. That means that our b has to be equal to negative 14. So we can write the final equation. Y is equal to 3x minus 14. Do the given points fall in the equation of a line? We did one like this earlier. We just plug it in. Remember, this is x, this is y. So we're asking ourselves, does 5 times negative 3 plus 2 times 4, does this equal to 7? Well, 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 plus 8. Does this equal to 7? Negative 7 does not equal 7. So no, it does not equal. So it does not fall in a line. All right, and this one we're asked to graph the following. Remember, same thing that was we did in the last one. You figure out what form is it in. Well, this is in ax plus by is equal to c. When it's in standard form, there are two things that you need to do, and order does not matter. You need to solve for your x-intercept, and you need to solve for your y-intercept. It does not matter which order you go. In our x-intercept, though, we solve this by setting y equal to 0 because as we're along this x-axis, our y value is at 0 because we never moved up or down from the origin. And then for our y-intercept, we would set x equal to 0 because as we're crossing our y-axis, we're not moving anywhere left or right from our origin, so our x is 0. So then to solve for this, we would say 2x minus 3 times 0 is equal to 9. Well, then this will give me 2x is equal to 9 divided by 2. So we get x is equal to 9 over 2, 4 1/2, or 4.5. So remember, when you're graphing a decimal or a fraction, you just need to approximate it. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. I am halfway to the next one, so I will just put my point approximately here. All right, then we will move on to the other one. Our y-intercept, we set x equal to 0. So it's 2 times 0 minus 3y is equal to 9. So then this gives me, because this will cancel, negative 3y is equal to 9 divided by negative 3. Y is equal to negative 3. So we go down 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Draw our second point. Once you plot your 2 points, you can go ahead and use your straight edge on your test, which you must, to connect these 2 points together. All right, find the equation of a line that passes through the given points. So remember, once you see this, find the equation of a line, you know you have to ultimately solve y is equal to mx plus b. And remember, as we did in our last problem like this, we need to solve for m and we need to solve for our b. Well, when we're given these 2 points, we can't just solve for our b right away. Right? So what we can solve for is we can solve for m. Now, as I go to do this, I label this x1, y1, and x2, y2. Something should jump out at me as I'm doing this. If I notice, or if you notice, that our y's are the exact same value. They're negative 4. So once you see where either our x's are the same value or our y's are the same value, then the equation becomes very easy. Because the only way that we can have y b negative 4 every single time as if y is equal to negative 4. All right, it's as simple as that. There's really nothing else that you need to do for this, because once you see that either x has the same variable, so if it is, let me just write this here, 1, 2, and 1, negative 8, and since we see x has the same exact value, this equation would have to be x is equal to 1. All right, but if that doesn't jump out at you right away, you can still solve this one using the other method. We can still do our m is equal to negative 4 minus negative 4 over 6 minus 5. This becomes plus. So m is equal to 0 over 1, or m is equal to 0. So if we know that m is equal to 0, we can then go ahead and solve for our b, because we can say, let me erase this since we're going to actually solve this. We can say that y is equal to 0x plus b. Well, we can go ahead and substitute in any point. Let's just pick this one. So y is equal to 0, not y, because I know what y is equal to. It's negative 4. So negative 4 is equal to 0 times 5 plus b. Well, this is going to multiply and give me 0. So b is equal to negative 4. So I can write y is equal to 0x minus 4. Now, we know that 0 times x is always going to be equal to 0. So we don't need to write this. Y is equal to negative 4, like I said. All right, and you could just identify it because we had the exact same value for our y's, therefore our y has to be negative 4, or you could have worked this one out using this. All right, so for this one, it says rewrite into standard form. So we need to go to ax plus by is equal to c, and right now we're in y is equal to mx plus b form. Well, we're not necessarily in that exactly because this isn't slope-intercept form since it has a coefficient of other than 1, but we're close to this form. And if you notice, our standard has x and y on the same side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this x to the other side. And if it's minus 5 over 4x, I can add 5 over 4x to both sides. So now I get 5 over 4x plus 3 over 2y is equal to 1. But remember, after it gets written where x and y are on the same side, you may think that we're done here, but you're not. Right? Remember, a, b, and c all have to be integers. So they all have to be whole numbers. They can be positive or negative. So we can't have any of these fractions. So remember, something we learned in like the 3rd unit this year is when we're having fractions, we can get rid of all of our fractions in the equation by finding our LCM. And we have our two denominators of 4 and 2. So the LCM of 4 and 2 is 4. So then I will multiply every single fraction and every single term by this 4. By multiplying everything by this 4, it will get rid of all of my fractions. This 4 will cancel out with this one, so I'm left with 5x. This 2 reduces this 4 to a 2. 3 times 2 is 6, so plus 6y. And 1 times 4 is 4. All right, so now we're moving on to the last two questions of this, which are the two hardest questions. So remember, it says find the equation of a line. So first, I know I'm going to be finding y is equal to mx plus b. It tells me that it's passing through the point 6, 8. So I know the only points that it's passing through are 6 and 8. And then it says it's parallel to the line passing through these 2 points. So remember, the two things that we need to solve for here are our slope and our y-intercept. When we're only given one point like this and the point isn't written as 0, comma number, we don't know what our y-intercept is, so there's nothing we can solve for with just one point. But since they tell me that it is parallel to the line going through these 2 points, I can go ahead and solve for the slope of these two. Because I know if I solve for the slopes of 10, 5 and 16, 3, I know the slope of the equation I need because they're parallel. So I will set this up, x1, y1, and x2, y2. So our slope is equal to 3 minus 5 over 16 minus 10. So our slope is equal to negative 2 over 6, which is equal to negative 1/3. So now I was able to solve for the slope of my equation because since they're parallel, they have to have the same slope. So then y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus b. The last one I need to solve for is b. And I can do that by substituting in this 6 for x and this 8 for y. So it becomes 8 is equal to negative 1/3 times 6 plus b. And now I just simplify. 8 is equal to, well, negative 1/3 times 6 is negative 2. I will then add over this 2, and 10 is equal to b. Now that I solved and found what my m and my b is equal to, I can write out my equation. I'm going to write it right here. So y is equal to negative 1/3 x. I'm sorry, this should not say b. This should be saying 10. Negative 1/3 x plus 10. All right, now let's move on to the last question. All right, so now find the equation of a line that passes through 7, 3 and is perpendicular to the line passing through the given point. So same thing, since we know we're finding the equation of a line, y is equal to mx plus b. I know I'm going to eventually need to solve for m and b, and the information that they tell me is it passes through the point 7, 3. Right now, same thing as I said before, with 1 point, you can't solve for your slope or your y-intercept, but they do give me that it's perpendicular to these 2 points. So if it's perpendicular to 4, 8, and 2 and 0, I can solve for my slope if I can find the slope of this one. And since I have 2 points, I can solve for this slope, x1, y1, x2, y2. So it becomes our slope is equal to 0 minus 8 over 2 minus 4. Our slope is equal to negative 8 over negative 2. Our slope is equal to a positive 4. So if this is my slope is 4, and this is perpendicular to it, remember, it is its negative reciprocal. So first I'll flip it and make it 1 over 4 and take the opposite sign. So that means my slope has to be negative 1 over 4. So I plug, now I need to go ahead and solve for b. And to solve for b, I will plug this in for x and this in for y because it passes through those points. So 3 is equal to negative 1 over 4 times 7 plus b. Well, then we will get 3 is equal to negative 7 over 4 plus b. We will go ahead and add over this 7 over 4. I'm going to move this down so that way we have space. So we have 3 plus 7 over 4 is equal to b. Now remember, when we're adding fractions, we need common denominators. So since this has a denominator of 4, we will multiply it by 4 over 4. So this gives me 12 over 4, which is still 3, plus 7 over 4 is equal to b. All right, and then we will add these together. Well, 12 plus 7 is going to give me 19 over 4 is then equal to b. So then, now that I know what my b is equal to, I just need to go ahead and rewrite this as my final equation of y is equal to negative 1 over 4x plus 19 over 4. All right, now that is it for this video. If you have any questions, please reach out.